UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the bet review show for UFC on Fox 30, Alvarez versus Poirier. We're going to get into our best bet play that we had, as well as our overall feeling on the card. We talked about in the prediction show, this was going to be a card with many past champions and a bunch of fighters looking to get into the title picture. A lot of great stuff going on. And of course, there was that tidbit now. It sounds like Conor McGregor and Khabib are now going to be happening at some point. Seems like negotiations have really picked up. So this main event even was more important than it was, I think, prior, because now this division is really filled up with so many stars and so many great fighters and so many great opportunities for some great fights to come up. So really excited to kind of dive into that. But let's go over first our best bet play. Our best bet was Dustin Poirier, 2 units to beat Eddie Alvarez. And in this fight here now, we all remember the first fight and how things went. And that first round, I would really more give it to Dustin Poirier. He was really dictating some cage movement. And that was something that Eddie Alvarez had said prior to this second time and said, listen, I'm moving forward. We're coming in. We're smothering him. We know that Dustin Poirier needs that space to work his boxing, work his footwork. And he really he wasn't able to do that, Eddie, in the first round. And again, we talked about was basically, is it just talk? Was he just trying to get into Dustin's head and saying, listen, he's just going to bull rush forward? And he didn't do that at all, really. There was opportunities where he was trying to get the takedowns. Dustin did a great job. And again, his footwork and his boxing is really sensational. He does a great job moving around the cage and just being able to work the jab, work his straight left. And he really, I think, is growing as an MMA fighter overall. And in that first round, I really felt that he did a great job. Dustin Poirier did his footwork, worked some shots in there. They both were landing, but I would give that first round really to Poirier. But the thing that I thought was odd in this fight was there were some points in there really where, in that second round, where Poirier goes for a guillotine choke. And he did it twice, and maybe he thought he was going to get taken down, so he tried to get the choke going. But for a guy, I mean, he's got the credentials to choke people out, no doubt. We just know him as that power striking that Poirier has in his great boxing. And going into that second round, there was a lot of chatter after the fight of some more dirty things that Eddie Alvarez was doing. There was something where he was ear gouging, holding the cage, and as well as the 12-6 elbow that he did when Eddie was in a dominant position. And now I know this is, people are trying to sprinkle some controversy on that, but there was no controversy. In my opinion, there is no controversy in that situation, because you can't have 3 situations where he was holding the cage. And I rewatched the fight again yesterday just to really see if there was something that I'd missed. And I thought it was, at first, I was confused why they did stand them up. I said, okay, I do see the elbow, but, that's a pretty strong position that Eddie Alvarez is in. But there was multiple times that the ref was warning Eddie, don't do this, don't do that, get that, don't hold the cage. And he held the cage again, Then it was, the ear gouging. He was warning him. So you have to take away that position. You cannot keep an advantaged position when you're consistently breaking rules. And then after he dropped the 12-6 elbow on his shoulder, it was kind of like, right away he did the right thing, said, listen, you got to stand up. You can't keep breaking the rules and thinking you're going to keep these positions, where some of them were the reason why he got into that position. Now, Eddie Alvarez says at the end of it, the situation where, if if the ref had kept us on the ground, I was going to be able to get the finish, or something to that effect. And I don't believe that either. I think Dustin was in a terrible position. But again, if you're gonna continually break the rules, that doesn't look good on Eddie's side. And when they stood up, I wasn't sure if those guillotine chokes for Dustin was gonna blow his arms out. He did look a little tired, but he got up and just went forward, dropped bombs. And I think Dustin was kind of waiting for that in that first or second round. And again, we talked about that that's where it could get into a firefight. And I think Dustin said, listen, I'm going to kind of work the jab, stay outside, not overly pressure, and let Eddie get those opportunities to throw those strong hooks that he has. And he really kind of waited out a little bit into that second round. But once they stood up, he saw that Eddie was getting a little bit tired. And we talked about that as well, that the cardio was going to be a situation where Eddie's got to push through that. He can't just sit there and throw wild hooks like he did with Gaethje. He's gonna have to be more technical in this fight, and he was not as technical. And just a sensational setup for Dustin to work forward, land terrific combinations, multiple head strikes, body strikes. Was able to just get him against the cage, threw an elbow, I believe it was, in there, put away Eddie Alvarez. So we get the victory there. Another victory on our best bet play. So now our best bet play is 21 wins, 9 losses, plus 18.48 units for the year. We're consistently hitting these. Really feels good to keep pushing forward on these bets. Want to keep this streak going. We got a nice run going here in our best bet play. So that is the best bet. We will have another best bet coming up for UFC 227. Garbrandt versus Dillashaw. So we will get into that. That will be in the next couple of days. We will release that video. Definitely have a best bet on there as well. So that was our best bet play. And now quickly going over some of the other ones. Jose Aldo versus Jeremy Stephens. This fight was something where a lot of people thought, and I would say myself included, that is Jose Aldo done? He's lost to world-class strikers, world-class fighters, with Conor and Max Holloway twice, and he's losing to guys that are really the elite level fighters. And here, obviously, Stephens is not an elite level fighter, but he has just been on a rampage and just been able to knock guys out, throw the hard punches, work his strategy. And I think although the fight ended in the first round, in the beginning, he started to do that. Stephens, this was a stay away fight for me because I just didn't know what Stephens we were going to get and which Aldo we were going to get. And, is Aldo definitely on the decline? There's definitely something to be said about that. But then you look at Stephens, is Stephens really a victim of circumstance where he's, fighting guys that want to go in there and just throw bombs, and that's where he's landing and he's excelling at. And so for here, he did. He pressured Aldo early, had some shots, landed them, but Jose lands a beautiful body strike and just changed the face of the entire fight. It looked like Stephens was starting to work his strategy, was definitely starting to pressure. Aldo wasn't sure, wasn't really sure if Aldo was going to be able to work those leg kicks. Was he going to be able to withstand some of those shots from Stephens? And Aldo puts away Jeremy Stephens in the first round. I mean, that was something. The way I looked at this fight was there's a great possibility that if Stephens wins, it's going to be a knockout. And if Aldo wins, it's probably going to be a decision. And I just think Stephens was going to be really too tough for Aldo to put away Stephens. And you know what? It just shows how amazing of a legend that Jose Aldo is because, yes, maybe this fight was not the toughest of his career. I don't think that is what this fight was. I just think emotionally this fight was huge. And you saw that as soon as the fight ended, I mean, he broke down. And you give him all the respect because of the fact that, he's been through a lot. He was an unbeatable figure, and then all of a sudden he goes 1-3 in his last 4 fights. So it started to change really everyone's thought process on Jose Aldo, and is he really that elite guy? Was he just although he's beaten definitely great fighters throughout his career and has been, he's 31. I feel like he's 40, how long he's been in mixed martial arts for. But, now at the point where he's back. He's back in the title picture. He's back into, having that conversation. And I think it's really a great story for him to come back and get that victory. So he gets the victory there. And then the other fight I want to just quickly touch on was Joanna versus Tecia Torres. And I think Joanna basically did exactly what she was hoping to do. I'm not really sure. Tecia tried, but if you stand at a distance with Joanna, you are falling directly into her path. And now, is that easier said than done? Of course. Ticia's trying to get in tight. And again, great cage movement, which again is like Poirier. Poirier did the same thing too, where, Eddie wants to get in there and he wants to scrap with him, but you got to get through a barrage of shots to get your hands on that fighter, whether it's Poirier or here, Joanna, and just getting through her kickboxing, her strikes, her combinations. It's really going to be tough for Tecia. I think she did as best as that she possibly could in that fight. But again, it was pretty much a clean sweep for Joanna. I know she's talking about she wants to fight Rose next. I don't even think that that's something people really want to see. I'm a fan of Joanna, but I think that at this point she's got to win another one, and she's got to fight another top-level fighter. I don't think Tecia Torres is her key to getting a title shot. I don't really believe that. but she is definitely back on her way, getting there. It's a big victory for her after losing 2 against the current champion in Rose. So the other fight was Alexander Hernandez. I mean, this kid here, he's 25. I mean, and he just has a terrific skill set, and I think that was one of the more impressive performances for me, is just that the way and the toughness of him. I think he's got a lot of growing going into the UFC, and he has a lot of self-belief, and I like that a lot about him, that he's 25, he's only going to get better, he's got a great skill set, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see where they try to place him next. He's definitely a marketable kind of guy, the way he talks, the way he acts. I think it's really going to help that division, and overall, he's going to definitely be an exciting guy to watch. So that is the main card. Again, we hit our only bet was our best bet play, which was on Dustin Poirier. So again, we are 21-9 on our best bet play, plus 18.48 units for the year, at that 70% mark still. So feeling good about it. We will have our prediction show for UFC 227 out in a couple days, so stay tuned for that. And if you have not yet done so, do not forget to subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.